The 5-2 Colorado Buffaloes take on the 5-2 Cincinnati Bearcats this weekend. With both teams being 3-1 in the Big 12 Conference, this is a make-or-break game to keep any hopes of contention for the Big 12 Championship. The Buffs are favored by 5.5 points, and we are here to break down everything you need to know heading into this game. Welcome to Buffs Banter,
your source for Colorado football. Let's
Go
go Buffs!
Before we get into the action, we want to give a huge shout out to our official sponsor, Tuk Tuk Bites. Not only are they offering frozen naan and other great game day snacks, but they have a great restaurant right here in Boulder, Colorado. So whether you're grabbing takeout or planning a night out, Tuk Tuk Bites has you covered. Check them out. Now, let's get into the action.
Welcome to Buffs Banter, presented by Believe Network. My name is Dean Frank, and I'm here with my co-host, Oscar Gonzalez-Moore. Oscar, there is a lot on the line this week. The Buffs look to secure potential bowl game eligibility with their 6th win. How are we feeling looking into this game?
It's going to be an exciting game for sure. I think a lot of people, honestly, from just doing some research for this podcast, I think a lot of people are sleeping on Cincinnati. It doesn't mean I think they're going to win this game, but they've had a very good season. And I think it wouldn't be inappropriate to start off this podcast talking about them. Their quarterback, Brandon Sorsby, transferred from Indiana, has been more than a pleasant surprise for him, for Cincinnati. They only lost Texas Tech by a field goal in a shootout. And yeah, I think they're playing some great ball right now too. That being said, they're going against this new transformed primetime team who have also been on a roll. You know what I mean? And every single time we do a podcast, I think we say, it's personal. And again, it is personal because not only are both teams in contention for a bowl game with a win on Saturday, but also the chances that right now there are 5 teams with at least a 7% chance, I believe, to make the Big 12 championship.
Yep.
And a loss here would mean contention for that is over. So there are more stakes than I think people are initially thinking of at hand on Saturday at Folsom Field.
Exactly. And it feels just like a normal game. I mean, Boulder, Cincinnati, I know like both teams aren't ranked, but at the same time, I mean, there is a lot on the hand. I want to talk a little bit about Cincinnati before we break down what we need to see from the Buffs this weekend to come out with the win. But I'm gonna play a little devil's advocate. I do not think the Cincinnati team is all that we think it is. I mean, obviously the 5-2 record, the 3-1 in the conference, not too shabby, but you just got to look at who they played. They beat Arizona State, they beat UCF, who, I mean, we thought at the time would be a good team, but we've kind of seen how they've fallen. You mentioned they lost to Texas Tech, and then, I mean, they beat Houston 34-0, but Houston is like not even anywhere near where Boulder is this year, obviously. So I kind of want to just play devil's advocate. I mean, people say the same thing with our football team. It's like, who have we beaten? Like,
Exactly.
why should we be in contention to be ranked? Which, I mean, obviously understand, but when you look at this Big 12 conference, it's all up in the air, right? And the hardest games for Cincinnati is yet to come, and this is just the beginning of it. They got Colorado, and then after that, they have Iowa State and Kansas State. So I think what we see with their record right now is definitely not going to hold up for the end of the season. But, I mean, we got to look week to week. And, I mean, they're looking to win this game as much as we need to. So it's a fair playing field. You talked about Brendan Sorsby, their quarterback, just pairing up him with our quarterback, Shadur, looking at their stats. Sorsby has 1,928 passing yards and 13 touchdowns, along with 6 touchdowns on the floor, while Shadur is pretty uncomparable with 2,268 passing yards and 19 touchdowns. We know going into this already that Shadur is the best quarterback in the Big 12, so it's kind of hard to match him up with any quarterback, but it is interesting to look at the different stats because I think with Cincinnati, what they are is really like everything you see is what you're going to get. There's not too many surprises that stand out. Like they're not just going to come out of nowhere and a wide receiver is going to have 200 yards. You know what I mean? So I think unlike this Colorado team, we have a lot more depth and a lot more standout players that can kind of make a bigger impact for themselves. So that's what I'm looking for, our depth in general to really just outsmoke the Cincinnati team. And I do like the spread with 5 points.
Yeah, I think you brought up a great point about how the narrative for both teams, at least from the haters' point of view, is who have these teams beat, you know? And I think finally these teams both have a chance to prove that they have beat some competition. And both teams have fallen short to very good teams, us, Kansas State, them, Texas Tech. So it is going to be a very fun game, even though both teams were definitely nowhere near projected where they are right now. You know what I mean? That adds to the excitement as well. I also want to speak to Coach Prime. I think we give a lot of credit to Livingston and other coaches, but man, what Coach Prime has done, how he has turned this around. Like week 1 and 2, we were like, damn it, you can't just go get an offensive line and the transfer portal. Has he changed the status quo? Like, I'm not saying we have the end-all be-all offensive line or D-line, but man, oh man, the O-line is playing their ass off. And like, I know Cincinnati rushes 3 most times. They barely blitz. You know what I mean? Like, this should be cakewalk for the O-line this weekend. And it's just been very impressive how I feel like we just don't give Coach Prime enough credit on this show, even though he's the backbone to this entire team. We love to give other coaches their due, but I mean, Prime has literally, the way he's affected the culture, a bowl game in 2 seasons. Are you kidding me? Like, we just got to Colorado. You know what I mean, Dean? We'll probably be lifelong fans, but there have been people probably waiting like 30 years for this, bro. And it's just like crazy how he can just come in. And I think a lot of people, I saw like Stephen A talking today in the media, like, oh, like we'll see if Prime's here for the long run. I genuinely think he is. I think Florida State is under a lot of pressure right now. Obviously, they have not been as good as people have been expecting them to be this season. And people just think he's going to flip the switch. Like if Florida State offers him a deal and go to the alma mater. I think if Prime keeps recruiting the way he is right now, Colorado could win the Big 12 championship like 5 years in a row. Like, no doubt in my mind, man. Like I think, yeah, if he recruited like Kirby Smart, this is the last thing I'll say. Like, there's no doubt in my mind. Like, the effect he has on kids, hey, he's a good-looking guy. He's super charismatic. You know what I mean? Like, he's very good salesman. So I think he has taken this program to levels nobody saw coming and can continue to do that. So shout out coach.
No, exactly. I mean, we talk all the time, like Shedeur, best quarterback in the country, Travis Hunter, Heisman potential. Coach Prime, coach of the year. I mean, I'm going to say it every single week because the way he has transformed this team.
Say it, baby. Say it louder.
It's been awesome. The Coach Prime, coach of the year continues. But I'm talking about that. You talked a little bit about recruits. And I mean, we got to mention Jordan Seaton, our 5-star rookie or freshman, excuse me. But Jordan Seaton has just been, he's defined expectations like no other. I mean, going into the year, I don't think we thought he was going to start and just get all the playing time he has, but the maturity he has shown just within this short season already. I mean, the past couple of games, we've seen no pressure from Jordan Seaton's side. I mean, I guess he's protecting the blind side from Shedeur as left tackle. So that's probably the most important offensive line like we got. And for Jordan Seaton to be a freshman and to be having these numbers, I mean, it's unheard of. So I think him talking at the press conference and kind of talking about the confidence he brings and like, you got to stand out as a recruit and, you know, play somewhere where you can make a difference rather than just being, you know, sitting on the bench at an Alabama or SEC team type of thing. I think the way that the recruiting has gone for this Colorado team, it's going to be going great. And obviously we got to keep winning. Next thing I wanted to hit, shout out to our guys at PFF College Football. Love their pod. But they kind of mentioned in their podcast, as I was doing some research, Cincinnati runs the 3rd lowest blitz rate in the country. They only rush 3 players. And at the same time, they run the most players in the nation by dropping 8 players into coverage, I guess preventing big plays. But at the same time, this defense has not played against a quarterback like Shedeur. So I'm wondering, what you think this outlook for the game is. I mean, I know a lot of the time with this Colorado offense, we're taking the over just because of the star power on this wide receiver room and whatnot. I mean, their defense is pretty much what you see, what you get is kind of like what I mentioned. They're ranking 57th in allowing 19.3 points per game, which is, I mean, pretty average. But like I said, they haven't played against a guy like Shedeur. Do you think that them not blitzing is going to be something that we should look at? I mean, obviously, it's going to make our O-line seem a little better. At the same time, we only let 1 sack last week against Arizona, so I'm looking for a big bounce back week again with our O-line. And I mean, if they give Shedeur time in the pocket, I like our chances.
Yeah, no, 100%. And maybe we switch it up. You know what I mean? Maybe we add a tight end or two onto the line if they're not bringing as much rush, and we can handle that. You know what I mean? And I don't think Cincinnati's going to switch it up just because that's not their style. I don't think they're being ignorant. I just think that's how they've been playing every year, and they're going into this like Shedeur Sanders is just another quarterback, even though he is the best quarterback in college football. And when you're the best quarterback in college football, or playing against the best quarterback in college football, I should say, you have to have a different game plan, which I don't think Cincinnati is taking into account. Because even if you drop 8, I mean, I'm taking 8 guys on the defense in zone coverage against, I mean, I'm taking Shedeur and our 4 dogs versus 8 guys dropping in zone coverage any day, all day, especially as a team as bland as Cincinnati, you know? Like I said, I think people are sleeping on them. They're not crazy, you know what I mean? This isn't a college football playoff contender. Like they're in the hunt for the Big 12. Congratulations. We got Shedeur Sanders. We got Travis Hunter. We got LeJohntay. We got freaking Shepard. We got Horn. Bro,
we have everyone.
Stop. And like we've been talking about in other podcasts, great. We have some big name receivers. But like the scheme is disgusting. It's like you put in a Marion Miller in there, goes for 196. Like, I don't know. I don't think Cincinnati's gonna have an answer for this. What are your thoughts?
I agree. Excuse me, I gave the wrong number for their Cincinnati's rank. So they're ranked 57th in their offense, scoring 30 points a game, and then 27th on defense, allowing 19.3 points a game.
Yeah.
While Colorado, we're averaging 31 points a game, which is 49th in FBS, and allowing 21.9 points on the other side, which is 48. So, I mean, looking at both of those numbers, it's honestly pretty even, which is interesting. But I think our offense, just like it doesn't even compare. So I guess it's hard to look at the numbers because we know what we're going to get week in and week out with this team. I guess it does match up a little bit on who we played and who they played. Kind of like I said, they haven't played anyone special yet. They haven't played the 2 top-ranked teams in the Big 12. So that number is going to change a lot. I wouldn't skew that at all. And then last thing, well, I want to stay a little analytical because, keeps us a little credible. But here are a couple reasons why I think Colorado is going to cover the spread. Colorado has won each of its last 4 games against non-AP ranked teams this season. Colorado has covered the spread in 8 of its last 9 games against conference opponents. And Cincinnati has failed to cover the spread in 6 of its last 7 October road games against non-AP ranked teams. Yes, I did my research. So, just adding these stuff, I mean, anything can happen in these games. And like, obviously Vegas always knows, but I think I like how coming off of last week, how we were somehow underdogs against Arizona, which is still like, I still have no clue why we were underdogs. But I think they realized a little bit because it also, look, the one thing I understand is the injuries, and we'll talk a little bit about Travis as well and just kind of how our depth is looking for this game. But I think playing at home gives us so much more of an advantage. I mean, every game that we see at home, it feels like we see some sort of Shedeur magic, right? I mean, talking Baylor, we're talking CSU last year. I mean, these are just some games that's happened. But as the season is coming down to the wire, I mean, we're kind of already halfway through the season. And like we've talked about, we only have a handful of home games left. I think just us as Colorado fans and the atmosphere is going to really help this team push forward. And I don't see us losing at home again this season.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a huge possibility to win out. I think 100% we can do it. We can do it. And I'm even more excited because we're both skipping out on going to our fraternity's formal for the Utah game. You're making a big commitment. You're going all the way to San Diego to see wifey and then flying back the next day, which is crazy, you know? That's just how much it means to us. And
great business.
Yeah, it's business, man. It's business for the content, for the clips. Nah. Seriously though, that game is gonna mean a lot. This game is even like more sentimental, you know. You can't like it's pretty much like tossing a coin, like last home game with the boys or last home game like during parents' weekends, you know, when the vibes are probably like the highest right after midterms week, you know, you need a little break like this. So yeah. Back to your point, though. I mean, nothing has shown me this Colorado team is slowing down. Even though Travis, you know, he might be out of the Heisman talk. We haven't really mentioned that, but there's still another guy on the team that could win it potentially. I mean, I don't know a better quarterback playing in college football right now besides Cam Ward, that is not named Shedeur Sanders. Like, he's playing out of his mind too. So let's not discount that. And what I was getting at though is even with Travis Hunter not playing, we haven't skipped a beat. You know what I mean? Like we were talking about it last podcast. Like if anything, it's giving opportunities to new guys like Colton Hood, who's playing like an absolute beast, who's hopefully probably going to get his first pick six. God damn it. He's been so freaking close the last two games. You know what I mean? So I'm excited. I mean, like I said, this thing really all goes back to Prime, the culture. Shout out the coaching staff. It's just beautiful to watch manifest right in front of our eyes.
And look, Buffs fans, don't go crazy. And in any means, we want to see Travis Hunter on the field. I mean, obviously, bro is a unicorn. He can do whatever he wants on the field. If he's healthy, though, we don't want to push the limits. If we're kind of like we saw with Arizona, if we're up by a couple scores, put him on the sideline. Let's see guys like Colton Hood go to work. I mean, we have depth on this team. The whole thing with this team this year is that we are more than just a two-man roster. We are more than just Shedeur and Travis Hunter. LeJounte Wester, Will Shepard, Isaiah Augusta, who's going to get his second straight start. I mean, I want to keep feeding him the ball. I want to see at least, 15 carries, and let's have a breakout game with him because he deserves it. We're putting the work in, and I think just kind of like you said, a big thing with this game, there is a lot on the line, right? Bowl eligibility, keeping contention in the Big 12 conference. Something that I want to look at is at the start of the year, do you remember what the projection for our win total was?
No, I don't. Tell the world right now what this dog shit prediction was.
So I hammered this line. The future was 5.5 wins at the start of the year, right? Last year coming off 4 wins. The year before that, 1 win. I mean, I knew someone looking at this team, and I've watched the recruits, the transfer portal. Like I've seen everything different from last year. The new coaching staff. I mean, Livingston needs to be an NFL coach. But anyways, the line was at over 5.5 wins.
I Venmo'd you for that, right? I Venmo'd you for that part of my bet, right?
Yeah. We'll talk about that later. But anyways, I mean, that was a lock. And like for us, hopefully this is win number 6 on the season. It just shows that like we knew this was going to happen. I mean, the corporate media side of the world did not. They were hitting on us, of course. I mean, and now once we start winning again, they're going to want to keep talking about us because we are the center of attention. We are college football. Coach Prime is college football. The Buffs are college football, win or lose. So when we are winning, they're going to keep pushing the narrative. And for us to win over 5.5 games, the future bet is a lock. And I think it just shows that like we are the real deal this year. We are going to go dancing in a bowl game. And damn it, I mean, I want to see Travis Hunter and Shedeur play in a bowl game. So to do so, I guess we just got to keep winning and make it an even more important game because you don't really see starters play bowl games too much or NFL draftees. But, this team is different. And to hammer that, I guess, like I'm taking the line because this team is a real deal. The inconsistencies of last year are gone. I mean, the O-line has picked it up. I know the first couple weeks of the season, obviously, O-line this, O-line that, like same team as last year. 1 sack last week. Just allowed 1 sack. And on the other hand, we forced 7 sacks. We have the most sacks in Big 12 conference. This defense is going to keep rolling. I think we're going to eat against Cincinnati. This team is just so mid. Cincinnati is a mid-bland team. What we see with them is what we're going to expect. That's the motto. And I mean, this Colorado team is just more than that. We are above average, and we deserve to prove that to the rest of the world, because playing to our potential is just something that has been tough with this team, with inconsistencies and whatnot. But I'm going to stop yapping. I think we're going to have another big game from LeJohntay. I want to see another touchdown from Will Shepherd. I just want to see him keep spreading the ball around, because, like I said, we are more than just Travis Hunter. I want to see Travis Hunter get back and healthy and get back into the Heisman conversation where he deserves to be. But, if he is a little banged up, we might have to win with someone else, which we can do.
I think this is going to be the most replayed segment, the last 2 minutes of what you were just saying, because God darn it, Dean. Gosh darn it.
Bringing energy.
You've never got me that hyped up on a podcast too. I was just waiting to start yapping. You know what I mean? Like, let's go, baby. Fire me up. And you know what? I think that's a perfect way to end it. One thing I will say, Magic Avery 123 or whatever the hell your name is in the comments last time, like, we're not talking about last year anymore. We're here. You heard it here first. I hope you're tapping into this, because everything we said was relevant about this year, and it's facts. Skull Buffs, we're getting this win in Folsom Field for Prime, for the parents, for the culture. Let's get it.
Bro just called out a comment. All right, I love it. Let's keep up the momentum going forward.
We got haters, dude. We're trending.
No, we're moving. We appreciate y'all for listening, because we're just roommates. We're talking shop, chopping up this Boulder football team. It's been awesome. We are not stopping here, because we have so much momentum and games to look forward to as this team looks to contend in the Big 12 Conference. Make sure to go follow us on Instagram at Buffs Banter, at TikTok at Buffs Banter, and YouTube as well. We will be posting our podcast clips. We appreciate y'all. Go Buffs. Another win incoming. Let's get it.
Go Buffs.